All right, welcome in. Hey, it's a big night, Thursday night. Hanna Time. Cornelius, Brad, Hanna, and we're going to talk a lot. We got a loaded show, loaded up, and I'm going to bring it to you. We're going to talk Damar Hamlin, NFL. We're going to talk about this week. We're going to talk about NFL coaches on the hot seat. Baseball, lots of soccer news too, believe it or not. It's going to be interesting. Talk about that too. Some wild, funky videos later on the show. And Mark Mancini coming up. We're going to give you a 30-second countdown to get you revved up. Come into the show itself. 30 seconds. Hanna Time. All right, welcome in, Hanna Time, and we got a lot to talk about. A great big show, loaded. It's so loaded. I don't know if I can get everything in, but we're going to try. And this could take about 2 hours to get through. So hang in there and replay the show. Share it if you can. Got my sponsors at the bottom of the screen. It is Hanna Time on Global Sports Broadcasting Network. Cornelius, Brad, Hanna, your host. And we got questions. We got answers. And let's talk Damar Hamlin. Let's talk pointing fingers. Why do people just start pointing fingers and bad things happen? And people get really unsettled, and people get angry too. And there's a lot of talk about how this happened to Hamlin, and was it a timing of a heart misbeat, and was it a COVID thing? What was it? Was it a heart attack? Right? The doctors today did not even want to answer that yet. So we'll talk into that more. I got a lot to say about that. NFL Week 18 storylines, playoff implications. We're going to talk about a star rising in the Phoenix, Arizona Cardinals. I shouldn't say the Arizona Cardinals. I saw about the Arizona Coyotes. Got a star-studded hockey player coming up that really making some noise. This could be a big one for the Coyotes. Georgia Tech TCU Final. Yep. College football, we forgot about that. It's been a heck of a week. We haven't really focused on that one yet. We're going to tap into that a little bit. We got Yankee news, Dodger news. We got some basketball news with Luka. We got Mbape and with the Brooklyn Nets. We got Pele. We got Ronaldo. We got Chiefs Kelce. We got Sean Payton stuff. We got NFL coaches on the hot seat. Who's gone? We're going to find out. They got the ticket. The pink slip is there. Who's getting the pink slip? And we'll talk about Broncos a little bit. They're really going to be in the hunt for Sean Payton and Harbaugh. Is he leaving Michigan? He's making some statements that is kind of like wishy-washy. Yeah, like I'm going to wait it out, but I'm a Michigan guy, but just going to wait and see. Got a lot to do, but I'm a Michigan guy. He's putting it out there kind of, sort of, right? But Harbaugh would be a great addition for any NFL team because he's been a proven winner at all levels. At all levels itself. All right, you can watch the show right now on Facebook Live, Roku TV, ASAP Sports Network, Twitch, also on GSPN, on YouTube itself. It's GSPN's TV Sportscast, Memento TV Plus, Viva Network, Tiki TV, Memento, Herigo TV, LinkedIn. Also, check this out live on LinkedIn right now. Hanna Time. And let's get into it, folks. It's been a long week. A lot of the news stories all about Damar Hamlin, and his recovery is looking great right now, folks. Fantastic. And, thinking about all the answers, with all the questions that need to be answered, everybody hypothetical thinking, conspiracies, you had it all coming out. Angry, people getting pissed at people on TV, people getting pissed at people on social media. It's like we get crazy, man. So I'm going to try to answer a lot by providing you information. Okay. The press conference today with the doctors about Hamlin and how he's doing. I'm going to go through that. He's doing fantastic, folks. He's doing fantastic. But, when you think about him and you think about everything he's been through today itself, when he woke up, folks, and he asked a question. Did we win? That's the first thing he said, man. It's the first thing he said. Did we win? Wasn't about him. Where am I? Who are you? NTM, NTM. It wasn't nothing like that. He didn't even know that he was out for 2 days or 3 days. Like it was Monday, it's Thursday, right? He woke up and he was like, did we win? Like he knew something was wrong, but it was like, did we win? Just tells you a lot about the guy. Tells you a lot about an athlete too. It's about we, not about me. And obviously this guy is a we guy. Tremendous. I'm so happy that everybody who has been watching this closely can have some peace, but also his family and the health and the life of Damar Hamlin, who's got a long way to go, folks. Got a long way to go. We're going to be an update from the press conference today that a lot of things talked about, and I have just notes taken down. And impressive things, but the doctors are still holding back a little bit on Damar. And if you're curious about Damar itself, doing more tests, biological tests, more blood work. There is really no definitive cause of how it all happened and why cardiac arrest or heart attack stuff started popping there on the field and how it all came about. But there's a lot of speculation. Questions were answered. People wanted to know. Everything that you heard on the social media was being asked today in the press conference with the doctors. And the doctors said they're going to do more tests. They cannot determine exactly how this happened. So a lot more testing to go on. And they want to know. They really want to know. So they have more ideas about medicine and how to handle this better in the future too, even better. And they did a great job. So Damar Hamlin is doing, we'll say fantastic, but he's still in critical condition, ICU. They will not change that until a few things. They cannot determine the cause of it. And but he did hold hands today. He did reach out and squeeze many hands, from what they said. Many hands, Hamlin did. And the CPR on the field, people were wondering about what happened on the field. They did one CPR on him. Wasn't multiple things. They did get him revived. That was huge. It was clutch. What happened on that field, as you know. But as they broke it down today, they lost him. He was out. And it took, we're talking seconds of losing him completely, right? Doctors got out there. They revived him, did one CPR, got him in the ambulance, and gone. And here he is on a Thursday, holding hands, communicating, writing things. I think verbally he was not able to communicate, but he was writing with pen and pad. Basically what we found out today, but he was communicating. So, and they feel strong about it. The doctors are saying, he's passed all the tests at the hospital so far. The fact that he said, did we win, is a great indicator that he's pretty coherent. Doesn't seem like he's got any brain damage, right? So he's there alive and kicking. He was surprised that he was away, like I said, for a few days. And he's breathing not on his own just yet. Okay? He's still getting some help. The doctors do not want Hamlin, they're going to make sure he can breathe on his own. And that's why they're still in ICU, critical condition stuff. Like, they're still there. Okay. They want to make sure that they can build him up, get his lungs stronger. He's weak, and but he is clearly on a great path. And that's really great news. And, we all can learn from this. We all can learn about medicine and medical and situations. You got family members who can drop right in front of you, okay, or friends or people in situations, and the seconds matter. The seconds matter. I've been through that, even personally myself. I went through that with a very close loved one in my life, and it was seconds and seconds that matter, okay. And I was reflecting a lot in different ways, how getting help, making quick decisions, right? What can I do in the moment right there with that person? It was so much going on when you're alone. I didn't have doctors. He had them right there. It was very fortunate. Very fortunate. And the NFL was prepared. When this happened in 1971, they didn't have doctors on the sidelines like that as much. They didn't have multiple ones. They didn't have machines right on the sidelines to hook you right up when you have a heart problem or something goes wrong, or you're fainting on the field. Right? They didn't have, I think it was a stipulator that's on the sidelines itself. But great stuff so far that Hamlin is live and kicking strong. His neurological stuff is back 100%, they say. His lungs are functioning. They're well. They're good. So everything seems like it's a big green light other than getting him stronger and getting him to a point. And there's no talk about comeback. That's not even the case. They just got him. They don't want to think about that because they want to see how far he can come back and how strong he'll be when they can release him from the hospital itself. But again, he was holding hands. He's still in ICU itself. He's day to day. They're taking still multiple tests, blood tests, and things like that. And they're still going to try to determine how and what caused it. And that's something I'm going to get into now with you also. And there's a major, major outbreak of storylines and narratives, and people want to point fingers. And but we still want to know. If we can't talk about it, how do we not know the answers? And we want to put pressure on our medical fields. We want to put pressure on our doctors to give us the honest to truth about things, because we all need to know, because we have loved ones too. We want to know, right? Things like that. All right. So good news for Hamlin itself and the family and the football family itself, and the NFL is going, but I don't know. They may not be out of the clear just yet, but that was a big one. All right. So let's get into this right now more detailed here. So, so the questions, many opinions, right? And how and why did Hamlin's heart failed? Okay, the doctors are trying to answer that today, and they kind of kept it a distance because they said they did not have an answer. They did not have an answer. One of the things that was brought up was the cordis, the Comotio cordis. I think I pronounced it right. Is rare, the doctors say, very, very rare. And if you look it up on the internet, it is very, very so rare that happening on the field. The doctors did not want to say that was the case because it's so beyond rare. So if it's the possibility it wasn't the impact of an irregular heartbeat with an impact to the chest area that created this irregular heartbeat and shut him down, and then he had cardiac arrest right there in the field, right? Heart attack stuff. So, but this is not common, but it's mostly common among male athletes, though, when it does happen. And the condition is leading to cause of deaths in youth baseball, also getting hit by a pitch, right? In the United States alone. So baseball, I'm not trying to throw people off there, but youth baseball especially. This is something that they have seen more, not like high numbers of this irregular heartbeat when you have major impact to your chest area, okay? So here's a quote for you, just so you have an idea. This is what a lot of people believe that happened because we got a lot of news about that. But there's other people that believe it could be something else. This is very well could have been a Comotio cordis event, which is a sudden cardiac arrest for a dangerous heart arrhythmia that is induced by the chest blow. This is what seemed to be or was happening out there on Monday night. Chest protectors are potential means to prevent this, though. They had that in hockey. Chris Pronger took a slap shot in hockey to the chest. Nearly died. He talks about it. And since then, hockey has created a chest protecting area to protect the heart. The NFL probably is going to add more to this chest area. They're gonna, if it's not enough, they're gonna find a way to get enough. But an impact is still brutal. Now, a hockey puck is so much fierce than the hit that you saw on Monday night. But if the timing was right, with the irregular heart, with the heartbeat, and you hit it just right, this is what this is about. This Comotio cordis. But that is something so rare that, the impact has to be pretty powerful. Hockey, I can see it. A baseball, I can see it. It wasn't like he took a major helmet. It wasn't like a major impact. Everybody saw that. It wasn't major impact, which threw a lot of questions to people about why and how this happens, okay? There are about 20 to 30 cases reported each year that people believe that this irregular heartbeat or the timing of the impact to the heart caused this instinct, like the rarity of rarities. 20 to 30 a year, still a lot, I think, for that to happen. But the doctors say no, it's rare. the most comprehensive online resource, intervention cardiology and beyond, with news coverage spanning the entire way. This is a website, tmd.com, reporting stuff like this, okay? So since February of 2022, though, here's another angle for it. A lot of people are concerned. A lot of these athletes were taking the vaccine, okay? And more cases of athletes were dropping on the field with heart conditions, different types of weakening of the heart. Don't quite know what's going on out there, but there's multiple, hundreds of cases globally, professional, amateur, that has caused this problem where athletes have died, nearly died, right? Having major heart issues. So the question is, why are people and doctors and politicians so afraid to even go deeper in deeper studies? Is this the other possibility? Okay. Buffalo was all over the news about vaccines. Remember, Beasley didn't want to take it, kind of like stepped away from the Buffalo Bills, and he's still playing for the Bills, or he went back to the Bills. Okay. So we need to know and compare, who these millions of people who have taken the vaccine, how many are dealing with it, and how many athletes are really being watched. This is what I'm bringing up. So I'm not saying I don't know. They didn't say what caused this, but they didn't say what caused it at all. The doctors didn't say it. So we're going to speculate, and we're going to still put it out there, but we still got to be concerned. So what it is that athletes go through, if it's a vaccine related, it's called myocarditis. And a lot of athletes from all over the world and doctors have talked about it. Experts have talked about it. So we want to throw it out there for you, okay? And a lot of them are taking the certain shot, the vaccine, like Pfizer. Pfizer seems to be the one. I just don't know if you took the Pfizer one. I want to know. This is really going to create and open more doors. We hope that the doctors can be open and clean about what they determine. And I'm sure a lot of people are going to get their hands on this one, okay? Because a lot of people are still scratching their head what they witnessed on Monday night. And the doctors are going to go through all those channels before they can end up with that conclusion that people are assuming and doctors are jumping in on, that it was a perfect timing of an impact to the chest, the heart area, where the heartbeat was there and it went into cardiac arrest. They will not determine that until they go through all the diagnostic stuff they're going to get through, everything, and testing his heart and everything else. So, and then hopefully we get the right answer, the real answer, okay? So Eugene Chung is an MD doctor out of Michigan, okay, Ann Arbor University, chair of the American College of Cardiology of Sports and Exercise itself. He says the sports cardiology community is a pretty tight-knit community. We talk frequently, and many of us have been involved with other cohort studies that have been published over the last year and a half. And in those studies, there have been no cases that have been confirmed that have been due to the vaccine. But there are athletes more than we ever heard of before. I've never heard as many athletes dropping on the field globally anywhere. It's getting a lot of publicity. Now, maybe the internet and stuff like that weren't as popular back then, and there are more cases. But they're there, and there may be more to it. And if we can't talk about it and open this door, then as athletes, as young athletes, high school, amateurs, who are out there falling down, collapsing on the field at a higher rate than we've ever seen before, but they don't want to relate it to a vaccine yet. Is this related to Hamlin? Don't know them. They won't say anything, but people want to know. But I'm bringing this up because if it's not this case with Hamlin, the heart and things related to what's going on around the world right now, I brought this up a year ago. I had all these cases of athletes and professional athletes and amateur all over the world. There was one particular guy. It was like, what was it? The deep breathing sport competition where you can dive. It's a diving one where you dive well underwater and you can hold your breath for like minutes. Like these guys have got like balloon lungs. The guy was like a multi-champion. And he took the vaccine, and a couple of weeks later, he couldn't perform. His whole career was ruined. He's living, but he can never do what he ever did again. And it was never like that pre-vaccine. So there are evidence there. So this guy, Eugene Chung, not quite sure about it. But I wanted to bring it up, folks, because it's not about just one athlete, professional athlete, potential there or not. It's about everything else and everyday life. Now, As we just kind of throw that out there to you. I know a lot of people, and I'm open-minded about this. But I just hope we get this right and we can clarify things and not just to be so hiding and secretive about it. Just be open. These are people's lives, okay? And whatever happened to him on that field, let's get the best answer so we can actually improve on stuff like this or protect players more, youth, young kids, whatever it may be, okay? Whatever it may be. If it's a vaccine issue, then let's get it right and communicate that, and people can make their own decision. If it's something with the irregular heartbeat situation, let's find out how we can prevent that on the field so athletes can be more fearless again, not worried about it. Okay. And what is the NFL going to do? They're caught in between. They're caught in between stuff. This is hard on the NFL. The NFL itself got a lot of heat. They got ripped all week about procrastinating on postponing the game. And, I posted something about a soccer player that collapsed and he didn't die, but they waited 45 minutes and they found out he was okay. He was doing well back in the hospital, and they resumed the game. This took well over an hour in Cincinnati with the Buffalo Bills and Bengals. And is it possible? Yes. That the NFL was just waiting to see if this guy can come through and they can feel comfortable enough to move the game on, because the NFL is in a tight spot. And everybody was screaming. Until you're in that position, I'm not going to bitch about it, okay? But at one point, it got to a point where the emotions on the field became the bigger problem. You could not restart a game where men were breaking down, weeping, crying. They're in more danger to go back on the field. They're not even engaged. Football was the last thing. I talked to Luis Sharp that same night, and I asked him on the phone a few times, and he said, they just got to stop the game. They can't play this. There's no way they can continue on. This is, so immediately, and Luis was a player rep for the Cardinals for many years, right? So he's understanding this. So they did the right thing. The NFL tried to stretch it, sure, until they got an answer. But when it prolonged and they realized this thing is not going away, then they kind of made the announcement, the big statement. But it took the two coaches to come to the field, on the field, and say, hey, we can't do this. Our guys are a mess. Like, how are you going to do this? So that's why the game was more pressure on the NFL that the players didn't want it. It's done. And the NFL took a big hit on that. And sometimes it's they deserve it, and sometimes they don't. And this was kind of a tough one for them because they have a short schedule. The season's about to end, and they were trying to stretch it out. That was a mistake because it was national TV, and they should have just jumped on it and stopped it right away. But the moment you saw athletes crying and whining and all that, it was over. The game was over. You can't put people out there and expect them to play a game like that. It's impossible because they don't know if their guy is dying or dead or whatever. They needed answers. Players in that locker room needed answers to come back on the field. They needed answers. Okay. All right. Here are some storylines and some other around the sports world itself as I'm going to pop it out. Here's Chris Pronger. He got a hockey puck to the chest and basically just almost took him out. Oh, no, this is not Pronger. But Pronger did play for the St. Louis Blues. I do have a screenshot of Pronger, but I'll just but Pronger was the one on the ice and for the NHL hockey. And he was basically, he almost died. Another St. Louis Blues itself. Bowmester, the defenseman for the Blues itself. He retired after a year after experiencing a cardiac arrest on the bench during a game. But this was like a couple of years ago. Again, don't know if it had just something with vaccines and stuff like that. But this is a case for you right here. Another one right now is former NHL star. This is the Pronger one I wanted to get to. Was hit in the chest by a puck in 1998, though. Okay, this goes back to the other story that people and doctors are saying that the impact hitting the heart caused this irregular cardiac arrest. And Pronger said he lived it, and he talked about it the other day on a radio show that I was listening to. Great stuff. But it was in a playoff game, causing his heart to stop briefly, although he fully, recovered from it. But he went through it. And that's a close call. Okay, that's Chris Pronger's storyline. So we're getting a lot of storylines about athletes. Okay, here's the one that a lot of you have heard about now that you weren't aware of. In 1971, Detroit Lions wide receiver died. I think it's like in the final minutes or the final minute of an NFL game, heart attack during a game. And Chuck Hughes is the name. And he died. And very sad situation there. But a lot of people came out with that story right away. But the NFL learned from that and did some different things on the sidelines that today saved Hamlin. So as the NFL gets ripped on, they learned from this mistake or a devastating situation in 1971 with Chuck Hughes dying with a heart attack on the field. The NFL they took the next measures, and what they had on the sidelines today or on Monday night wasn't there in 1971. And it saved him. It was a big part of saving Hamlin on Monday night. Okay. So the NFL will make more different changes to help and protect players, because this is what we got to do, what they got to do. And hopefully it trickles down into the youth level, and we continue to protect our young kids who are going to play football, or the sport's just going to dissolve because of fear and dangers. And it's a lot of that lately, right? Head trauma, right? You have post-trauma for athletes who are experiencing stuff even today from 20 years ago when they're retired 20 years ago. The NFL is in a big spot. They got heart problems. They got brain issues now. It's so much going on. The depression stuff, it's a lot. Taking more heat was Joe Buck, who on Monday Night Football on ESPN, Joe's report was coming from what ESPN was supposedly getting from the NFL and just reporting it. And he was reporting that there's a 5-minute warm-up to continue the game. And was it communicated that there's only a 5-minute warm-up, or usually they'll give the guys 5 minutes and that's what he's reporting? Or was it communicated that we're going to resume the game in 5 minutes? All he did was report it, but Joe got ripped on, and he gets ripped on for stupid things that people shouldn't even worry about. He's a class act. He's a great play-by-play guy. He's one of the best and very knowledgeable, okay? But he did not deserve that. And the NFL, but the onus went back on the NFL, and ESPN was trying to protect themselves too. Everybody was protecting themselves. The broadcast network, Joe Buck was just saying, hey, I just do what I saw and complain. Didn't complain. I just reported it. And great. It was great to see in the moment. And he was very cordial and very sensitive and intuitive of what was going on. A high professional level situation right there. And a lot of people were getting hit hard with negative criticism. And another one we heard about too was Bart Scott, the former NFL player. Yeah, he's got a big mouth, Bart Scott. And he was on ESPN. But this is another one. Why did he take so much heat? It's like the moment people get a little bit outside the bubble, and Bart Scott did not direct this at T. Higgins, the receiver who just was lowering himself for the impact. That's what football players do. They try to protect their body, lower themselves, or try to drive over their opponent to knock them down. That's football. Okay? Bart Scott on ESPN blamed. This is what the quote comes from somebody from a tweet. You can't use the word blame, folks. That's stretching it out. Okay? Now, some people can misspeak or misspoken some stuff, okay? But T. Higgins for inciting or incident for the Damar Hamlin hit. And now people, not just one guy here, is calling it ridiculous. What happened was a freak accident. We don't even know. See, this is so funny. You wait a days later, a month later, a week later, you get more news, more reports. And we're going to get something else out of this Hamlin stuff, okay? But everybody who was just ripping on people, pointing fingers, laughing at people, calling them all these horrible things, ridiculous like this one guy is, but the doctors will not confirm anything about a freak hit. They don't know what it was yet. They got to go through multiple tests to determine. And we're all talking about follow the science, listen to your doctors. Now the doctors are saying it, and everybody's now, where are those people today? Where are they today? Right now, the ones that jumped all over these people for trying to communicate and have an opinion on something or just throwing things out there. Everybody wanted to engage, right? I did. You did. A lot of people did. A lot of people do praying. You're all engaging. You're praying, deep thoughts, right? Everything. Beautiful stuff, though, if you're praying. I love it. But for Bart Scott to be ripped on like that is, he wasn't putting the blame. And he responded back to it. It was talking about a football play. And by lowering his body into the chest of the ball player, of Hamlin, created the heart problem, the cardiac arrest. He didn't say that it's his fault. He should have known what he's doing. Nobody does that in a moment like that in sports. It's instinctive. So for you to rip on Bart Scott is so stupid to me. It's stupid. It's ridiculous. When I saw that tweet, I was just like, are you kidding me, folks? The guy was talking about a football play and that him lowering his body just probably caused this whole thing to happen, right? That's what we're all talking about. He didn't say he did it on purpose and Higgins went there and he goes, I'm going to drill him in the heart and knock him out and give him cardiac arrest. Relax, folks. Relax. Okay? All right, moving on. Skip Bayless. Now, Skip was a little insensitive, but he got ripped too. Shannon Sharp and his show did not even show up on Undisputed. They got back at it the next day or so, and they went at it. And I don't know if it's for show, for ratings, but a lot of it was all from the heart. And Skip was ripped on too. You know, sometimes in situations like this, take a back seat, take a step back, just kind of report like you all do from your home on your phone, and just kind of put things out there and trying to assume things, you know. My assumption that night, right away, I thought his heart was alive, but I didn't know about his brain. I was convinced, but from what I was hearing and seeing, that I was like, wow, I don't think he's alive brain wise, you know. And then we find out that they seduced, or into a coma to ease the pressure on the brain, to work the heart and get his other organs and other vitals going, and then bring him back out of it like a day or two later. And they eased him back out of it to see where he is at and where his brain functions were. They were getting some good indications from it. So I knew right away it was something with the brain, was the oxygen. When you have a heart attack and a cardiac or anything like that, and you're gone. You lose complete oxygen to the brain. Okay. The oxygen that runs through the trachea up to the brain, right? That little stem in the back of your head, right? Your neck area. That part, you got seconds, right? Minutes, right? To take care of this, or you can lose somebody, or serious disabilities are coming. The fact that Hamlin is in full strength, looking great, from everything we saw and witnessed, is a miracle. But he did get immediate attention. Nobody can get that quiet of attention unless you're in a hospital, by an ambulance, or there's a doctor walking by you. But the fact that they had things on the sidelines and they had an ambulance there, everything to go. The NFL is prepared and ready to go. And nobody wants to talk about that. They know the danger of the sport, but they are very sensitive about that. And everything they did, the NFL, they had ready, and it saved a life to be prepared. And they had all their doctors from both teams. Everybody was engaging. So very fortunate, but not everybody gets that opportunity. Not everybody in real life, real time, in that situation will get that immediate attention. And that's why we lose people. That's why we have losses and deaths, because of that timeline is so vital. You call 911 immediately. Don't even think about it. Go, because them getting there within a few minutes, right, could be just that. Could be just that, saving a life. But you don't have stuff at home. You don't have the things that they had on the sidelines in Cincinnati the other night in any NFL season. You don't have it. So it's very fragile, very sensitive. And but it saved Hamlin. I mean, wow. And barely, too. Think about that, how close that was from losing him. And everything they had was enough to get him, hold on to him, and find a way to get him back to where he is today, where he's holding hands, he's communicating through writing, right? He even wrote out, did we win on Monday night? He didn't even know. He woke up 3 days later and he's like, just like, what's going on here? Okay. Neurologically, he's like, they say like 100%. He's got good strength. The body, everything is intact. It's pretty amazing. Now they're just going to rebuild his body, strengthen his lungs, do more tests, find out the cause, and really find out about his heart, because maybe his heart has a little bit damage to it. But they said so far it looks good. Still got a ways to go. Great stories, but we got to learn from this. We really do. We really have to learn from this. Something else coming out there. Cincinnati has really had some really strange things happening on their field. In the last decade, folks, not even less than a decade, we've had 4 major issues. One of them with Antonio Brown, knocked him out, concussion, but it was scary when he took a big hit. It was like a blindsided hit in Cincinnati when he was playing for the Steelers. We remember Ryan Shazier, number 50, where he went paralyzed on the field and he could not move. And he is now walking today and still improving, but nearly lost him on that field in Cincinnati. Earlier this season, it was Tua, Dolphins quarterback. He was in a bad spot. And, was he losing his life? Maybe not as close as what happened to a few others, what happened on Monday and what happened to Ryan Shazier. But something happened in Cincinnati, folks. I mean, is this place, did they build this on a cemetery or something? Like, what is going on here? It's not like the stadium is brand new, though. It's a decently, new stadium in the last 20 years. But then you have what happened Monday night, which was the worst situation. But there's not a good history to go in Cincinnati right now. This is not good. Not good. So just food for thought there. Also, more things. This is the hit, okay, that you're seeing. Hamlin's in the white. Can't really tell, but the video is really expressive too. It's not a lot of people like looking at it. I don't blame you, folks. I don't blame you. All right, we're going to move along, okay? We're going to move along a little bit. I'm really happy to hear about Hamlin and that he is on his way back, folks, and at least as a living human being who has an amazing story, who can help others and continue to be a good citizen to this society if he never plays football again. But we're always going to have him in our hearts. And yeah, we're going to look out for him on the outside as he's doing his thing, as he makes his comeback. This is his big comeback, folks. Everybody has a comeback. This is one. This is a big one for him too. And we're all going to watch this all happen in front of us itself. All right. Okay. Coaches in the NFL. You understand that Sunday is the pink slip day from some coaches. And who is number 1 on the list? I'll tell you in a second. But I wouldn't say a polling came out, but these are at least the top positions that look like they're going to have some openings after Sunday. Number 1 on the list? No. But this was one of them right now. The New Orleans Saints head coaching position most likely will be open. Who would it be? Could it be Sean Payton going back? Why would he? Doesn't have a quarterback, or can he get a quarterback there? That's in New Orleans. The other one is Rivera, Washington. And the way the season has ended, they were in a playoff spot, looking comfortable, and then they got quarterback issues. Then he's putting in Carson Wentz. That blew up in his face. Now he's going to go with another quarterback that hasn't started this year. A third stringer, like whatever is going on. But not looking good for Rivera. How hot is his seat? I think he's a great coach, but he's been through a lot medically in his life too recently. Let's see what happens. Maybe he wants to hang it up himself. Maybe he's on his way out. Maybe he's going to retire. McDaniels, Raiders. This guy's been given a couple of chances. The Broncos and the Raiders, and he made the playoffs last year. That was a good thing. He made the playoffs with Tim Tebow. Is McDaniels the guy? Is the quarterback the problem? But there's a lot of things going on in Las Vegas about maybe this is one of those positions that's going to be open for somebody to jump in as a hot seat in Las Vegas itself. All right. Another one too. Lovie Smith, Houston Texans. Lovie Smith got the job. Houston is not a good team. Was he given a good team? No. I think Lovie was given a really bad team, and he made the best of it. And I would say this. Houston was not an easy victory. They may have lost a lot of those games, and they did. Worst team in football, unless you're the Chicago Bears. But Houston Texans battled a lot of teams. Remember that Dallas game a couple of weeks ago? That should remind you. So Lovie did something. He was able to get his team to perform and got the best of them. So I'm not quite sure if he deserves to be on the hot seat because he doesn't have a whole lot of talent in Houston. But number one on the list right now is in Arizona. And this is coming from a couple of, I would say, polls or just top candidates to be fired. I should say, I don't even say candidates, but top positions in the NFL, head coaching jobs. And Cliff may be on the way out. Still waiting on this. We'll know more about it on Sunday. Maybe Cliff knows. Maybe Cliff knows already he's gone. Maybe he's been told that we're going to make a change, finish strong, keep this team going. I'm going to give you a chance to just show how worthy you are and how of a good coach you really are and a good manager of this team and everything else. You got a chance to do this for your next job. That would be nice. If Bidwell did that would be great. Or does Bidwell want to make a decision? He's going to have to pay a lot more money, or he's going to get a cheap coach coming in here. Maybe that cheap coach is better than Cliff Kingsbury. I say you keep Cliff one more year, folks. I know you don't like it, but unless Bidwell really wants to pull this off and get like the big names coming in, there's not many out there unless you're Sean Payton. But there is one guy, and I'm going to say it again, folks. I'm going to say it again. There is one guy out there that I asked for the Cardinals to hire, and nobody said, no way, no way. And I'm going to put it out there again because his name is hot again, and he has spoken again about if he's going to be an NFL coach again. And the fact that he doesn't even know, but he does say, I'm still with Michigan. I'm the head coach of the Wolverines. But there's like a button there because nothing has been confirmed. And this window is going to open and people are going to come after Harbaugh. And he is a great coach, folks. And if you want somebody to get your organization correct and right and on the right path, this guy has done it everywhere. He got Michigan on the right track. They were nothing that good before he got there. They used to be a great program. And they were beatable. They were lousy at times. He flipped that. He flipped the Niners. Remember the Niners? He flipped that one. This guy is hot, but he's going to cost money. And I don't know if Bidwell and any team out there wants to spend that high dollar right now. But you can pretty much tell and know that Harbaugh, I think he's going to be a better coach than Sean Payton. Everybody wants Sean Payton. I want Harbaugh. And if Harbaugh wants to come and coach the Cardinals, you do it. Like, find a way to get it done because he'll get it right. And I love that guy. I really do. Just a great football, everything about him. He just knows the game, knows the locker room. He knows how to win. Just everywhere he played football in the NFL, did great at Michigan when he was the quarterback. He's a football guy who has tons of experience and he wins. And remember, he did get to a Super Bowl with that Niner team. He did get to the Super Bowl. I would love to see it. I'd love to see it. This guy right here, Jim Harbaugh. I love to see Harbaugh in a Cardinal on the sidelines for the Cardinals. And I wanted this 4 years ago. So go get this guy. What are you waiting for? Oh, He's a mental case. He's crazy. Like he's gonna destroy the organization, the front office. He wants too much control, and everywhere he's gone, he's just made everybody better. And everything he did, he's smiling. He's peppy. He just gets along with people, but people want to knock on him. I think it's people just didn't like him for whatever reason. People have their own hatred for people. It's weird, but the guy wins. And if I'm gonna hire somebody for my business to run it, I'm going to find somebody who's a winner, man. And this guy's a winner. Harbaugh. His brother's doing great in Baltimore, right? His dad was a legend football coach. It's there. What are you waiting on, right? Make an offer and see if he jumps ship. Let's see if he leaves Michigan. Make an offer, okay? Make an offer. So, and we'll see what happens. I think Harbaugh would be a great pick for anybody right now. Great. All right. So we're going to dance. I'm waiting for Mancini to come in here. I don't know if he's going to come in, Mancini. I got your comments coming in. I see it. He's going to come in here in about 10 more minutes. Okay. So Mancini comes in about 10 more minutes. We're going to talk more. I got so much to say with him and talk about. Okay. All right. Let's see here. All right. So the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Jags. Remember them? Are they the Cincinnati Bengals from last year? Because the Bengals were the worst team in football, like a couple of years ago, right? And then they drafted Joe Burrow. And you saw some nice positive things with Burrow. Then he got hurt. And you can see, wow, the Bengals may have gotten their quarterback. Looks like they got their quarterback. And but then the next year they went to a Super Bowl. It all played out perfectly for him. And Burrow game elevated to a higher level, and he's elite, right? He's elite. And then this Trevor Lawrence gets drafted by the lonely Jags, man. Jacksonville Jaguars struggled with the head coach out there with Urban Meyer, couldn't develop right or whatever. And then he gets Peterson, who won that Super Bowl as the head coach of the Eagles and got Nick Foles to play like an MVP and like crazy, right? Then he gets this like crazy, amazing, athletic, great college quarterback, and he's molded him within 1 year of the football season. He's got his team in first place. Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback. It's year 2 of Trevor Lawrence, just like year 2 of Burrow. Okay. So the Jags in this team right here, Doug Peterson. Are they going to the Super Bowl? Last year, didn't think Cincinnati was going to do it. If this happens again with the NFL, that a team in 2 years from being the worst team, the number 1 pick in the NFL draft, get your quarterback, in 2 years, you're in the Super Bowl. It happened last year. Can it happen this year again? The Jags have that mojo feel like the Cincinnati Bengals did a year ago. Just putting it out there. I don't know if it happens. I don't know. But if you're a team like the Arizona Cardinals when you drafted Kyler Murray, that didn't go well. That didn't go right. It didn't go. Is that fair to say? Why not? Look what the Jags are doing with Trevor Lawrence. Look what these guys are better quarterbacks. They're a whole different type of quarterback. And we talked about that. That was my biggest complaint, is that Kyler Murray is not going to measure up to the Mahomes, to the Trevor Lawrence, to the Joe Burrow, to the Josh Allen. Right? He's not going to measure up to that. Okay? And as a number 1 pick overall, now these last 2 quarterbacks, let's say Burrow and Trevor Lawrence, they're showing that they're legit. Trevor Lawrence is on his way, folks. And we talked about that a couple of years ago. This is the future of the NFL. These tall, lanky, durable, agile, right? And they played at a high level in college, right? It's like it's all there. And this matter of developing these young quarterbacks. So I'm looking forward to see what happens with the Jags. They still have to make the playoffs. It's going to come down to this weekend. But we'll find out. Also, is Kelce the only reason why the Chiefs are good on offense? Is he the offense? Is Mahomes good, right? But is it just Kelce, the one that makes this offense go? It's not like they run the ball and they dominate that way, or they have an effective running game. It's let's just say the running game in Kansas City is average, and they can have some good games when things are in their favor, right? They can run the ball more and blah blah blah. But they don't use the run. All right, the receivers they have some nice receivers. Okay, and now that Tyreek Hill is gone, okay, you're realizing that the offense runs through Kelce, the tight end. And he's going down as the greatest tight end in NFL history. Not only because of his numbers, it's because the whole offense runs through him. They don't win without Kelce, folks. They do not win. Kansas City does not win it. He cannot get hurt in Kansas City. Cannot. Oh, it's over. Because I don't know how they replace that. He is a special, special talent as a tight end, Kelce. Speaking of his coach on the screen, but I got a question for you. In the NFL, should coaches always have or be allowed to challenge any play? They only give them like the challenge flag, right? They only get, an opportunity to do that. Should it be all the time? Why should a team be, penalized for using their challenges when something else is going to happen and they're out, and they have to rely on the NFL to make a decision at the time they can do it, right? Something to think about. But now it's going to slow down the TV, the broadcast. Everything's a tight-knit broadcast, 3-hour window. They try to squeeze it all in. They work fast at it. Everything is timed out right. The commercial breaks. I mean, have you ever put TV screens together and watch multiple games? And they all go to the commercial break almost within seconds of each other. It seems like it's like they got it down. It's calculated perfectly, right? So I'm going to go to your comments. I got about 5 more minutes before Mark Mancini comes in. Okay. And hey, Kareem, loving your videos, Kareem. Keep up the good work, man. Angel in the house. He says, I bet it was a communicated problem with the NFL. She's talking about Angel when Joe Buck on Monday night was just reporting that the NFL, the players are going to have 5 minutes to warm up to resume a game. And he was just reporting what was given to him. Now, if Joe Buck got that from ESPN people, and the ESPN people, execs or whatever, who are communicating with the NFL did not clarify well, or just some miscommunication on it, and relayed it to Joe, and Joe just took what he was reading and just went with it. That's all he can do. It's not like he's communicating on the phone with the NFL. He's getting it from his bosses to say something on the air like that. So the executives of ESPN could have made a mistake, or the NFL is covering up their butts, or you can put that together yourself. But don't blame it on Joe Buck. All right, let me get this guy off the screen. This is Kelce there. All right, Kelce, the head coach of the Chiefs. All right. Hey, Karen in the house. Who else is popping in? Stephen Harris, Vince Caruso, Kara Thomas in the house, Nick Hanna, Joel in the house. Yo, what's up, Joel? Christopher Joseph, what up, brother? Hey, Chris, appreciate that. Steph, Bird Gang in the house, Warren Knopp in the house. Appreciate there's more. I know your comments are there. Just come on in strong with your comments if you can, and I appreciate it. Vince Caruso says Jim did his best on at San Diego University. You're right. Another one. Another school. All right. So Sean Payton looks like more and more news is coming around the NFL, and people talking about it, is going to Denver. That's what people are wishfully thinking. This is like a John Elway situation. He'll do whatever it takes to get a quarterback in there. Can Sean Payton get there and straighten out Russell Wilson? It's very possible, because maybe it's the coaching situation, or the system that's there in Denver that really doesn't match what Russell does. Okay? But they're saying that Sean Payton could also be with the LA Chargers. Now that makes sense. And there's a lot of people in LA, they're not happy with the coach. Like he's maximized what he can with his team. They made the playoffs this year. They barely missed it last year. So it's kind of hard to get rid of a coach that is knocking on the door. That their defense has a lot of talent, brought in some players this year. There's some big name players, and that defense hasn't really tightened up their belt a little bit to play defense, championship defense. A lot of high scoring when you play the Chargers. So that offense is there, and you got your quarterback. But can Sean Payton take that over and make something more special out of it? Take it to the next level. That's what we're thinking here. Sean Payton. All right. So the Chargers, if that door opens, now the Chargers are not part of that list of hot seats of coaches in the NFL. But if the Chargers are one and done in the playoff round, maybe that happens. Maybe that door opens up. Or maybe Sean puts pressure on him. Maybe he wants that job. But why would a guy go after somebody else's job and force the situation? That's not cool. But there are many situations where Sean Payton can actually be good at. But he needs a quarterback. Needs the right roster that he can feel comfortable with to go into. And what that is, only he knows. And I do know a week ago when he predicted that the Cardinals will lose by 10 points or more, that didn't happen, which tells me he didn't think much of the Cardinals last week. But doesn't mean he doesn't like them and doesn't want to try to figure it out and fix something. Just saying. And there is a problem in Raiderland too with Derek Carr. This is so sad. This guy balls out. He's good. Great quarterback for what he can master out there on the field. You know, they made the playoffs last year. He led that team. He's got good numbers, and something just went wrong. Something just went wrong in Las Vegas with the Raiders, and Derek Carr deserves better than what the Raiders provided him. And I hope Derek Carr finds a new team or gets moved to another team. Who can it be? Who needs a quarterback? Yeah. There'll be some takers out there, and I'm sure Derek Carr will take it and move on with it. But he's not like he's a young guy either. He's experienced. He's got knowledge. He's made the playoffs. He's played in big games. Keep an eye on Derek Carr. We keep bringing his name up. All right. We got a couple of minutes before Mancini comes in. And I want to just kind of remind people that Pele is no longer with us, the great one. They're in Brazil. There was an eternal King Pele funeral. Many people lining up, thousands and thousands outside the stadium there in Vila Belmiro, Brazil. Football legend was laid to rest the other day at the home of a longtime club, Santos, that he played for and has been around. Just a really remarkable career, obviously, in post-career. But the love that he was given at his funeral as people lined up to take one last peek of him, just like with Babe Ruth. Remember people lined up for Babe Ruth? You got video and photographs of people outside of Yankee Stadium. You know, that Pele is the Babe Ruth of soccer, right? And, you know, people lined up miles to just have their last thoughts. And with the great Babe, well, they did that with Pele in Brazil, in a famous stadium of his, the home of a longtime club, Santos. King Pele is finally laid to rest. Speaking of soccer, and another great one, this is a crazy story, but when you want to live and play or in the Middle East, they have laws, and a lot of it is about marriage, and gay marriages are not allowed, and you can't even talk like that at there. I mean, this one, Ronaldo is not married, but this is his woman, and he just signed a contract with Saudi Arabia. Okay, he is playing for Saudi Arabia. Okay, a soccer club in Saudi Arabia, and there is this law where you cannot live with a woman in that country if you're not married. You just spent millions of dollars. Do you think they're just going to close their eyes and turn the other way? The citizens of Saudi Arabia are going to keep their eyes wide open on this one. But how do you stop this? But living with him, what are they going to go break into his major condo and just arrest him and his girlfriend, his woman? Man, that would be a major story. Mbape, the great soccer player from France. Look at this story. He's with the Brooklyn Nets basketball team. Okay, he's also with Akraf Hakimi, another formidable player. But he went to Brooklyn, took some time off from the World Cup after it was over, and enjoying life. He's world famous now, and he's a great soccer player. And he went to Brooklyn and watched the Brooklyn Nets, hung out with Kevin Durant. There he is courtside at the Nets basketball game. A soccer player showing up to an NBA game. The question I have for him is, did you want to be a basketball player? What infatuated you with this? Are you that close with a guy like Kevin Durant? Great things, folks. This is athletes appreciating other athletes and their abilities. And supposedly he enjoyed himself. And is this another indication? He's still very young. But would he move to the United States, in his twilight of his career, towards the end of his career, or when and come to the MSL or does somebody try to give him big dollars, right? Does he like it here? Just wondering. So Mbappe checking out NBA basketball in Brooklyn with the Nets itself. All right, I want to get something local here in Arizona right now. Okay, I do a lot of global stuff, nationwide stuff, top story stuff, but there is a hockey player in Arizona. Well, he's not physically in Arizona yet. So let's look back on it. The Phoenix Suns selected their first-round draft pick, number 1 overall, was DeAndre Ayton. They should have had Luka Doncic, and that would have been a whole different story for the Suns, right? The guy's lighting it up. And Ayton is just a good basketball player, but he did not escalate to that elite level. Not yet, or maybe never. The Arizona Cardinals, they went with Kyler Murray, and look how that played out, right? It didn't go well. So Arizona teams, Suns, Cardinals, hey, man, you went number 1, and you kind of had an okay pick for the first pick of the draft in basketball and the NFL, and you didn't hit. You didn't hit on it. As of right now, you can say you didn't hit. You got a nice player, but you didn't hit the big one, which you were hoping to find because you thought you had it. And you can blame it in many places. People are going to point fingers at coaching and development and all that, whatever. Diamondbacks did pretty good. Diamondbacks have been loading up their farm system. And a lot of their first-round picks over the years are starting to emerge and have emerged. And people are even talking about the Diamondbacks making a playoff push this year. Keep an eye on the Diamondbacks. But the Arizona Coyotes, let's hear that howling going on, may have the next scoring star in the NHL. He just finished the USA World Cup stuff, okay? They just lost to Canada last night, 6-2. Logan Cooley, folks. Now, if you're not a Coyote fan, but you're a hockey fan, the name Logan Cooley is the answer that the Coyotes have been waiting for a very long time. Hopefully he pans out, not like the Murray situation or the Ayton situation, but a situation where he is one of those hockey players that you can draft early on. I think he's the 3rd pick overall last year in the draft. 3rd pick overall. Guy's a baby. But a lot of these baby hockey players are studs coming right out of the gates. And this guy is showing everything that he is going to be, maybe with the Coyotes this year at the end of the season. Maybe for a playoff push or just to get his feet wet for next year. He's that good, folks. And it's up to the system for the Arizona Coyotes to develop him. Here's our guy right here. This is his day of being drafted, putting on the jersey itself. Logan Cooley, folks. He's a baby. He's a young boy, right? He's a teenager. But hockey players are something special, and at a young age. And at a young age, you don't get drafted that young if you're not special. And in hockey, we see the McDavids of the world, the Crosby of the world, right? The great ones get drafted high, the top 5, number 1 overall, goaltenders, right? And they all play out pretty good. There's some bust here and there. But for hockey, when you get something like this early on, you got it. And the Coyotes have been looking for their scorer, their dream scorer. This guy has been mentioned as being a dominant player in the NHL in years to come. That is huge news for the Arizona Coyotes, who are so close to getting their new arena put together in a couple of years, that building the machine, building their organization and that roster around some beautiful, great talent should and is probably going to start with Logan Cooley right here, who was drafted last year and has played at a high level at the international level for the World Cup of USA, Team USA. And we got a good look at him. We got a great look at him if you weren't paying attention to it this week or this last couple of weeks. Coyotes, you may have finally hit the jackpot. And, the Mullet Arena, he may be playing at the Mullet Arena. I'm going to go. If this kid's playing, I want to see his first game, because if this is the special one, if this is special, I want to be there for the first one. Logan Cooley. All right. Well, hope to see you soon, man. I don't know where Mancini is. I don't know where he is. He was supposed to be in here by now. Oh, he's coming in now, he says. Come in now. All right. I'm waiting for you, man. I'm going to text him real quick. All right. If not, I'm out at 8:30, so I got more to do. The Yankees, baseball. 50 years ago, George Steinbrenner bought the Yankees for $8.8 million. Today, they are worth $6 billion. Now, at the time, the Yankees were not a winning team. They were going through one of the worst transitions from championship decades through the 60s into the early 70s. George Steinbrenner took over that team, and within a few years, they were in a World Series in 76, and they won it in 77, 78, and then lost again in 81. So within a short amount of time, this guy had a winning team making the playoffs, and another dynasty that was put together in the 90s. The heck of an investment. And, I don't think the Yankees are going to – I mean, if the family wants to sell, they just made a ton of money. A ton of money. All right, that's 50 years ago. More baseball news. Would you want this guy on your team? This is a guy, Trevor Bauer, pitcher for the Dodgers. The Dodgers set him back and said, get out of here. But the players in the clubhouse in L.A., after the incident with the female, it was heavy news. Man, it did not look good, but he's reinstated into baseball. The players for the Dodgers want him back. How does the Dodgers organization feel about it? Are they willing to take some heat if they bring him back? Or is another organization able to do it? This is a tough decision. Is it fair to exclude, to cancel somebody that he feels that he is not in the wrong? Trevor Bauer. He took a big image hit. But the players for the Los Angeles Dodgers want him back. And that's I want Mancini to talk about that. Let me see here. I think he's just having an issue. Oh, here he comes. Here's Mancini. Hey, Mark. Popping in here.
I was going through it so fast, I couldn't find it. Then I found it.
All right, hang on. I got something on the screen. I want to get it off. And I want to get onto it right now. We got about, 20 minutes, okay? And then we're going to sign off. But
I apologize, man. Next time I'll get in early. I'm doing podcasts, running around. I said, oh, man, I can't miss this show.
I know. Hey, all right. So I just went through a bunch of stuff today, man. I went through all that.
There's a lot of news, man. A lot of news.
I don't want to rehash too much because I got more. Let me finish what I have, and then we can kind of refresh some stuff, okay? One I was just talking about, I had it on the screen, is this Trevor Bauer story coming out of LA, Sports Illustrated, that the players for the Dodgers in the clubhouse want him back. What do you think, man? You're in LA.
Well, the Dodgers need players. I sat down and talked to Steve Garvey yesterday on an interview. That's the legend of Los Angeles, man. They haven't replaced a first baseman until they got one last year in Freddie Freeman. I'm not counting Adrian Gonzalez or Mike Marshall or Greg Brock, the legend, man. But the Dodgers need players, man. They can't field a team, man. Look at their pitching. You only got, if the season started tomorrow, you got Julio Urias, who would be probably a third starter on most teams, and then you got a broken horse in Clayton Kershaw. Other than that, what else you got? You got question marks up and down that back end of that pitching staff, middle relief, bullpen. They don't have a closer.
Right.
Then you get into the bats. You only got Mookie Betts, and Mookie might have something to play for now that they gave Rafael Devers all that money in Boston.
You're right. Absolutely.
Freddie Freeman and Will Smith. There's no Trey Turner there. They've lost 2 shortstops in back-to-back years. Gavin Lux is like Steve Sachs.
All right. Big game, college football. Nobody's talking about it, Mark. It's kind of like one of those weeks. It's like the final, right? TCU and, Georgia going for the repeat. We're going to pop it on the screen for you, folks. This is the cover of the program, right? And who takes it all? TCU's there, man, right? But Georgia, the dogs, and your take on this. I mean, for one, obviously, it's hard to talk about stories with the big story all week in sports, but we got it's Thursday night and Friday and going into the weekend. This is a big game. This is it, and we're going to start to refocus into the sports world as we're moving past the Hamlin story as he's recovering.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. I had Georgia, Michigan, Alabama, and USC for my Final Four. I almost pulled that off, but came up a little short. But TCU, the glass slippers coming off. Cinderella's going to lose it. This team should have been beat by Michigan. Michigan played into their hands. They should have not blitzed as much. But TCU hasn't faced a team like Georgia, and they're going for something too. There's something on the thing here.
They are.
They want to go back to back here. The SEC's a beast. Nice run TCU and Sonny Dykes, but there's no stogie being lit up outside SoFi come Monday night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's I'm gonna go with Georgia too, and this is a big statement. They had to deal with all the Alabama stuff, all the other. This is their mark on the history of the NCAA college football championship, and it'll go down in history as back-to-back, and that's something special in any sport, right? So they want to make history, and
Vince Dooley, Herschel Walker, Buck Bellew, the Georgia Bulldogs,
and they never did that.
Yeah.
And Georgia's been top dog. They've been playing some football the last few years, and they've been into the championship game. They lost that one a couple of years ago. They thought they had it won. Remember that against Bama, right? So this could have been their third one. They were right there. That game was in their hands. But all right, looking forward to that big game. A lot of good football stories.
Monday also. This is where coaches need to get fired. There's one in your backyard. He can take his, beautiful model wife, and maybe he can move on to the sunset, or Kyler Murray's moving on. Somebody's moving on there. The GM looked like he took a leave of absence. Might have took the Southern Comfort with him, but they need to have changes in Vegas too. As much as I like McDaniels, he's more of an offensive coordinator, and I've had the Raiders to win the West the last 3 years. I'm not picking them now anytime soon. They need to fire the clown in Miami. That's another one, McDaniel. When you're 8-3 and you have the AFC East and you're about to lose your 6th in a row, somebody's going to be held accountable. This team wasn't built for 2 years down the line. It was built to win now. He needs to go. And in my NFC team, the Redskins, Ron Rivera, he can, sing Kumbaya all he wants. He needs to go too. He's no Joe Gibbs or George Allen, but maybe it's going to get interesting here. We'll find out tomorrow with the NFL. 8 teams from each conference coming in.
There you go. How about the Saints situation? Their head coach situation itself. That's another hot spot. I talked about this earlier too. You kind of went through it again. There's McDaniels. He got to a playoff twice with 2 different teams, Broncos and Raiders. Beat the Steelers, but lost last year in the first round, right? In the playoffs.
Yeah.
But it just seems like it's a train wreck going on there, and their quarterback is on his way out. Lovie Smith, does he deserve to be on the hot seat after being competitive in football games? And his team,
Well,
even though they
first of
have
all,
his
when you look at Lovie Smith, and you look at Jock Vaughn, the coach of the Brooklyn Nets. Are these guys related, man? They got the same beard. It's gray beards, man. I mean, you got to get rid of it, man. Shave it, man. You look that much better and that much younger. What are you doing, man? You look like you're 90.
This is one coach I want in Arizona 4 years ago, and unless Mr. Bidwell can find him.
I'm not a big Lovie Smith guy. He didn't do nothing in Chicago.
This is my guy.
I will tell you, the boatloads, the cash. It's coming to two guys. Sean Payton going to get whatever he wants, complete control. And Jim Harbaugh, I think, is going to Indianapolis.
That's the guy I wanted in Arizona 4 years ago. And I went on there, and people were like, "You're crazy."
He's a great guy, man. Great guy to interview, man.
They talk about how he can wreck an organization, and it's like, well, did your organization just get wrecked by Keim in Arizona? Like, I wanted him in Arizona. I thought, and I don't know if they made an offer and pushed for it because nothing ever came out of it. But the way they spent so much money, you might as well should have spent it on this guy who can obviously wins everywhere he goes. He flips every organization, right? I mean, everything he did. He got the Colts as a quarterback to the AFC Championship game. He did well in Chicago with the Bears.
Well, he almost pulled that game out against the Steelers, too. He threw that Hail Mary that was batted down.
Yeah. And, he goes to the Niners and flips that organization, gets him to a Super Bowl as a head coach, and then he goes to Michigan and just flips that organization, that program around. Remember that Michigan Wolverines they were crap, thing. They were not good.
Yeah, he's put them on the map like Bo Schembechler did. But let me tell you a little bit about, not to switch gears, but staying in the NFL. Man, this sport's got to do something. I'm saying 3 decades from now, we might not see it, but I think soccer mom's going to put an end to tackle football in the NFL, and it's going to be regulated by flags. Or the NFL might get these concussion lawsuits and do something about it, because I know it's a $9 billion a year industry, but these concussions haven't come in yet. And when they start to filter, I don't think Lloyd's of London's going to be able to save them.
Now, let's talk about that then. All right. So the NFL definitely has their work cut out. Took another
take, for instance, this, Cornelius. You and I, we got one hell of a show here each and every week. I'm so blessed to be a part of it with you. But I love hockey. Hockey's always been my favorite sport. They kind of cleaned up the fighting. They made the players wear helmets. They Clint Malarchuk almost got his throat slashed. All the goalies came in with the throat protectors and got rid of the Halloween mask. So they've basically regulated their sport to, kind of look at what happened, clean it up. But the NFL's turned a blind eye to this with the concussions, the helmets, the whole 9 yards.
But they have like 4 different helmets that Kenny Pickett was wearing like, an egghead thingy because his concussion. So they're doing what they can, but and that's all they can do. I don't know. The NFL is in a tough spot. It's a violent sport, and it keeps taking hits, and everybody's going to jump on it and point fingers at them and everything else, which I can see, and I've done my pointing too.
Boxing was a tough sport too, and you saw how the heavyweight went. That went by the wayside.
There you go. But the NFL, when you're looking at this flag football stuff, they are going to have a flag. I can see the NFL backing, sanctioning an NFL flag football league. Not right away, but they are definitely encouraging it to get kids to continue to play football without pads so they can protect the youth brain, the body, so they're not as damaged, because they believe that in the early ages, a lot of the stuff is being damaged. And then the time they get into college and pro, they got problems, right? So they're trying to slow that down. So flag football, love the sport. And if you want to get into the game, you're going to have to put some pads on and hit. My problem is these kids may never want to hit. They're not going to be in tune to hit. You got to have a mindset for that. I can see 2 things happening here. I don't think the NFL is going to go bye-bye because people are going to want the gladiator, the contact, the hit. They want to scream and yell, right? They want to be the barbaric fan in the stand. But then there's also going to be that side where they can capitalize on the flag football stuff. Okay. And people say, what are you talking about? We're not talking tomorrow, and we're talking a few years down the road here, because this stuff is mounting. It's mounting, and it's going to be shared, which also tells me the NFL could be hanging on to one of the great leagues of all sports globally ever known, the way we look at it, could be getting, they're in the late rounds getting hit now. And they're trying to find a ways to survive the fight, survive it, and remain the champion of all the sports, right? And they're starting to get hit more and more. Every year they're getting hit. People want to pick on them. They want to knock them off. And the way they may handle things, yes, you may not like it, or we don't know the truth of it. I've been hard on them in many different ways. We can go back to the national anthem stuff, the standings, everything has been hit after hit after hit. Eventually, people are just going to get turned away and turned off more and more. But when it comes to a parent, that goes back into the 70s. Dennis Bird is another one. Ryan Shazier.
All those guys. But what we saw on Monday is we almost saw a guy die on the field. And if that happened, I don't know. I don't think Goodell's the commissioner to lead us through into the flag football era. It's got to be somebody like Peter Ueberroth was to Major League Baseball. It's got to be one of those kind of guys that understand it, that has, a background in building something like this. But I don't think it's going to be Roger Goodell. And who knows what he was thinking. Maybe he wanted to complete that game Monday, and the players basically said, "The hell no, we're not completing it." But, maybe it's going to take somebody to die on the field, unfortunately, for this league to wake up and say, you know what? Maybe we need to get rid of this. I mean, we could send people to the moon. We can't come up with a damn helmet to protect somebody or body gear.
Mark, man, let's really go back in time. These guys don't wear shoulder pads the way they used to. They don't wear knee pads. They wear up to their above their knee, right? Their knees are exposed, right? They really have minimal equipment for protection of the body, and a lot of it has to do with that the game is softer and it's not as physical contact. But at the same time, if we're concerned about injuries to NFL players, why is the equipment so minimal? You need to change that and get it back to the big Jack Lambert shoulder pads and the buck this stuff. And,
you better adapt. You better adapt or you perish. I mean, that's the problem. And I think it's more offense than it is defense. Back then, you had the Oakland Raiders, the Steelers. They would hit you, man. They were bruisers. The only teams that really play that style now is the Ravens and Steelers. I mean, you can cut it with a knife. They played, I think, since 2014 or something, or 2010 maybe. 24 times they've played, and it's been by 7 points or less. That's what it is. It's physical football. You don't see that physicality.
And we won't lose that. Fans are going to still want it, and it's not our bodies, and we're not going to put our life on the line. That's why players get paid a lot of money, folks. That's why there's a lot of money involved, because there's some serious injury. Hockey players are getting hit all the time. When it was wild, I've been going through this Hamlin story early on in the show about, and they're all, a lot of people are saying, oh, it's because the contact was a perfect timing of the heart. But the doctors today in the press conference did not say that was the case. They were very, they said, we're not going to determine that because we need to know that if it's something else, because everyone speculates that. And they said it's so rare that on contact like that, it wasn't like he was Chris Pronger that got hit with a hockey puck and he lost some moments of his life on the ice and then he regained consciousness and then recovered. Okay. That's a different story, but there's many stories like that. Now people are talking about the COVID shot and how the heart has been weakened by it. All right. And that's, and people don't want to talk about it. And I brought it up today because the doctors gave me the opportunity today when they did not confirm what caused it because they don't know. I give them a fair shake. It's only been 3 or 4 days to figure this out, and they're just trying to save a life. And then they're going to go into the test. Then they're still doing tests on Hamlin, right? He's biologically, brain functioning is back. Neurologically he's back. He's holding hands. He's writing, and they're just going to rebuild his body and get it strong again, his lungs and all that. But they're going to do more tests. And the question was brought out there: what caused it? They don't have an answer. They want to make sure that they go through everything else about the heart, everything else, and try to determine. Hopefully, we get a right answer, a very fair and honest answer, that we don't get some political stuff in here, because we deserve that. And if it is a freak accident that happened to be a perfect timing of a hit to the chest, then that's fine. We can all accept that too. To me, it's not a. It's just like, I just want answers too, because this is medical. This is lives that we can understand more about it. If we just hide it, then we don't learn as citizens. Society doesn't learn if we can't keep. We are kept outside.
So in other words, I've heard that too, that the COVID shot weakens the heart. So is that the case? Maybe because I know they pushed the NFL players to get the shot.
Yes, they did. That's why it's being brought up. That's why. And we have hundreds of cases all over the world, high-profile athletes or in their country who are. I did a show on this too, and I have a list. By the way, I have a list. I mean, I may have something here for you too, to show you. Let me see if I can have it for you.
Well, I was offered the flu shot the other day, and I politely declined it. I mean, I take my vitamin in the morning. That's the way I look at things. Big man brought me in. The big man will take me out. That's, I mean.
Well, here's a story for you.
Get everybody talking about science and everything.
Look at this. This is a former NFL player. I hope I can get it. Uche Nwaneri. No, oh my gosh. Wannery. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Sorry, guys. I just got this like right before my show. Suddenly he dies due to apparent heart attack. Okay. And look at the comment that he puts out prior to his death. Former NFL player. Let's get these vaccine mandates and vaccine passports up and running as soon as possible. We're seeing children die daily from the unvaccinated selfishness, right? Pregnant women at risk. Protect life. Mandate the vaccine. Join jail anyone who refuses it. This is what he's saying. He took the vaccine, right? And then he has this sudden heart attack. Freaking strange, man.
Well, wait a minute.
And people.
First of all, isn't it a medical choice? I mean, I don't smoke, but why should I be subject to somebody breathing that stogie in front of my face and getting? Not only I smell like a tavern when I leave, but my that secondhand smoke is all over me. So, isn't it medical choice? And isn't the amendments in place with what we have? So
we're
why
talking
are we
athletes,
to take
Mark.
something?
Mark, we're talking athletes who are at great conditions. Their heart, everything, from the cardio stuff that they have to go through, are dying.
I mean, this thing is like sports teams. I mean, this guy likes that team. I like this one. You like that one. And I think it only becomes a problem when the guy comes on there with a megaphone and tells us we got to like the Dallas Cowboys. No, we don't.
Now, people say that you have to have proof, right? And you got doctors are saying some BS out there, and I know it because when I look at this, and I was given this data right here. This is the ICD-10 data.com. Look it up, folks. Look it up. Talks about vaccines, okay? And don't forget, your athletes have been taking this, and they're dropping like flies. Even young kids, youth who have gotten the vaccine are falling on football fields and hockey, soccer games, everything.
So then let me ask you, then why is unvaccinated blood in high demand today?
Because it's gold, baby. It's gold. Yeah. It's gold. You're a gold mine if you didn't do it, right? Yeah. Adverse effects of the heart. This is about the heart. Adverse effects. It's right there. I circled it. Of vaccines and biological substance right there. Okay. It's all detailed, the way they have it in their books, folks. If you're looking for proof, there is research has been done, and more research has been done more than ever. This is the beautiful thing about time. Monday, we were ripping on everybody about Hamlin, who are criticizing like the Bart Scotts of the world, the Joe Buck from him saying something, to Skip Bayless saying something, and anybody who's on social media, like you were just like everybody was psycho, and just remembering that there's a life on the line, right? And I was just trying to report stuff that I was grabbing like everybody else and putting it out there. But you give it like a week, a few days, we get a real story. We get the true story. And today we found out that they don't have an answer yet. They're not covering it. They just really want to find out what these doctors are doing. We'll trust the medicine there. But everything about, for talking COVID and the heart and the weakening of the heart and how athletes are dropping at a high rate. And they're making it sound like, oh, this is overhyped. It's normal. Like every day. No, it's not. It's not. And it's not just athletes. It's right. It's not even just, it's other people. It's not just athletes. It's happening. So here's the thing. So now everybody wants science. We're going to get science and medicine, doctors figuring out really what caused this whole thing with Hamlin. And I hope we do. And I'm really happy things turned out so well today. What a great comeback, man. What a comeback.
I don't think he'll ever play football.
They didn't want to answer that question today, by the way. They didn't want to answer that. But anyway, is that give it time, because there's more people out there that are doing studies that are not just backing vaccines, folks. So when you want to rip on people about what they believe in, wait it out, because this, you just can't have it one way. And the biggest problem I have with people is, why can't we have a discussion about it? What are you afraid of? And what are our politicians or the NFL or whoever is engaging in this stuff? Why are you so afraid to talk about it and not open up the doors for these discussions and get, if we want real science, let's see it, because we are getting more knowledge. Because you know what happens, folks? People are getting tested that are doctors that are down the middle, unbiased, not politically bought out, all this stuff. And athletes are scared. There are athletes and moms and dads are going, crap, or I'm not putting my kid through that. He just took the vaccine. Like, people are going to be living in fear because they don't know anymore.
Well, not only that, once you
and that's
get
okay.
it in once you get it in you, how are you going to get it out? Is there anybody out there that's going to reverse it? I mean, it's in your system.
Like, did somebody inject cancer? Like, was that in our foods? Like, we're being fed the cancers, right?
Supposedly these people are getting blood clots and everything. I don't know. I can't.
Right. And supposedly we know we have a cure for cancer, right? but they won't give it to you because it's not about this.
Unfortunately, I trust one thing and one thing only: the guy above. That's it. That's where I hang my star on.
I wonder if he ever gets pissed. Like, you know what, folks?
You know what? I don't push it on people. I know a lot of people that don't believe, but I'm not a guy that pushes it on them. But it's to each his own. Hey, I get ripped for hating the Dodgers, but how come people don't get ripped on hating the Cowboys?
Right? Hey, I'll give you an update. I don't know if you heard all the news from the press conference today. So Hamlin is holding many hands. He's reacting well. His brain is at a full function.
He's a Pittsburgh boy, baby.
He's a Pittsburgh boy. They're doing more tests. They're going to build up his lungs. Took a hit, because oxygen to the brain and all that stuff. But miraculously, he's back. He's still in intensive care, ICU stuff, only because he's not breathing on his own completely yet. And they will not allow him released or anything like that until they are completely comfortable that he is breathing on his own without any help or guidance or protection or, around him in that room. So, but they're very positive that it's going to continue to get better. And eventually it's day to day. And then they feel like this guy is going to able to breathe on his own without worrying about a machine. Wow. Does he walk around with an oxygen tank nearby, or, they have the answers. But it's amazing. And think about people who are not having the doctors around them, right, when they have a heart attack, or they have to get on a phone, or somebody has to call 911, right? Or they don't get there. It's done. They lose their life. The fact that they had their doctors there, the NFL was always prepared with things on the sidelines and not just ambulance. They were prepared. And it happened in the NFL, and the doctors who were employed all responded, and they saved a freaking life. And we're talking, seconds apart, right? I mean, if they weren't there, right? Think about it. And they were just running off the sideline. So they were on it, boom. And they said he was out in the press conference. He was out. Like, they lost him. And they had to do CPR on him one time, not multiple times, one time, got him back. And then they were able to proceed forward, not knowing what was going to happen. But they said that they were getting some good results as they were in the hospital or in the ambulance and stuff like that, that they felt like, okay, we have him in a place that we have a shot at it. It's a miracle. But we don't get that opportunity in everyday society with that much attention so quickly. We have a 911 call and hope they can get there on time. And that's why you got to learn CPR. That's why you got to learn how to give oxygen from mouth to mouth and all that stuff, folks, because you're it in that moment. And I've been through that. I went through a very traumatic situation with a very close loved one in my life. Okay. And I had to respond to it. And I know what you go through as a human being is incredible. Incredible, Mark. And I don't wish it upon anybody, but be prepared. And now I have a memory and an experience knowing I think I can handle it better next time. I was so unprepared. I think
you got to push on their chest and breathe through their mouth, right?
Yeah, I mean, and that I took it in high school and other things. But in that moment, how much practice did you have at it? And you just go for it, right? I'm on a 911 call doing everything else. That's all I had, a 911 call, my hands, my mouth, and I'm trying to save a life, literally, and I've had some experiences of that, but I don't wish it upon anybody. But the fact that that's how close that Hamlin almost lost his life. If it wasn't for the NFL being prepared, Mark, this is why they shouldn't take a big hit, because they were prepared. And nobody's talking about that. They were prepared for that most tragic moment. And at this point, they're going like this. Holy cow.
Yeah.
So I know. And I'm hard on the NFL in many areas, but when I see something, I got to give it, some thumbs up. Like, good job, man. Like, and those doctors and everything else. Because, 30 seconds more, another minute more, who knows?
Brain damage. You never know.
Right. So anyway, Mark, anything else you want to talk about? I mean,
yeah, I was going to cover the Penguin game tonight in Vegas, but I didn't get it. But I'll cover it next month here in LA. But the Penguins are down in your neck of the woods here.
Yes, I think they are.
Yeah. Wow.
Hey, I got to show you this video, and we got people online watching, folks. Do not become a Cleveland Brown fan, whatever you do. For many reasons, and they were supposed to win a Super Bowl already. But you've seen this before. This is a video.
Oh, yeah.
Of a Cleveland Brown fan who is just completely smashed. And I don't know how fans can go to a game and
I think I know where you're going with this one. I think I saw this.
Get blitzed like this. Look at this guy. He's wobbling. He's still drinking. Look, oh my God. You've seen it so many times throughout your life, man, right? And why do people do that, man? Why do people just get snockered like that? And just like, I know people have alcohol problems and they fight through it, and demons are in there and there's addictions in there. But man, nobody's helping. Nobody's there. This guy needed help.
They're two sheets of the wind too. Probably sucking on some Pabst Blue Ribbon. Schlitz, Iron City beer. Who knows, man?
All right. Well, I don't know about these fans. Maybe they were drinking too much. When the Boston Bruins fans get involved, it seems like there's always a fight. Bruins fans, Boston fans. I got a little bit more.
Yeah, they're out here. They're playing the Kings tonight.
All right. Well, they played the Coyotes like a week ago. So, and a big brawl broke out when the Coyotes defeated the Bruins. Did they beat the Bruins? Yeah. But look at this fight, man. Like, I might have but wow, look at the cops and everything. And watch this one girl. I don't know how she stood up and got back up. but I'm leading this into the future of the Coyotes, by the way. Okay, here we go. So, yeah, we got some language. But watch the girl get clocked. I don't know how she got up. Oh. Now watch the cop. It's like Superman. Here he comes. Here he comes. That's the Mullet Arena. The Mullet Arena. The Mullet Arena in Tempe.
There's only 5,000 fans.
It's a raucous place, man. The Penguin fans are gonna love it, and every away team comes in there. They love that place. Hopefully, it only lasts a couple of years because they're gonna have to find their new arena, and it'll be a new home.
Have they given the green light for the new arena?
Right. Not yet. It's just one more last thing, but it's really close. It's $40 for standing room only. You know, and like you're like 20 rows from the ice, standing room.
Wow.
So it's really cool. And like $80 to $100 or more, depending on your seat. But $40 to stand and chill like that, I'll do that. That's nothing. I know. I mean, some people can't stand like that. But
hey, what about the Super Bowl? It's in your backyard, baby.
Yeah, we got a lot to do. I'll be out there. I got credentialed for that.
You're gonna have a lot of friends.
A lot of friends. The parties, everything else. I don't know if I used to do all the parties. We'll talk more about Super Bowl stuff, but you go to one party, man, it wrecks you for the whole week, and you got to get to work the next day. It's just like
it's like Mardi Gras, man.
It is. You just really can't abuse yourself that way.
Yeah.
Hey, speaking of the Coyotes, Mark, and I'm going to give you a name. He played for the U.S. hockey team. I talked about him earlier in the show. He was the 3rd pick overall for the Arizona Coyotes. And, you know, every once in a while, like Crosby and Lemieux and McDavid, right? And you get these stud that comes out. And sometimes he's not number 1 overall because the team wants the best defenseman, the best goalie coming out. Well, the Coyotes had number 3 last year. And they got Logan Cooley, who was the star for the USA international team.
Yeah, they had a guy in their backyard, but they let him go to Toronto and
and he played the other night, and the Coyotes beat him. Toronto can't beat the Coyotes for some reason. But anyway, Logan Cooley, here he is, putting on his jersey, playing for the USA team. I say this guy will be on the ice at the Mullet Arena sometime towards the end of the season, if it's for a playoff push or just to get him ready for next year. I would think it'd be a great move, and I'm going to spend that money to watch this guy's first hockey game because, Mark, they say he is special. They're saying he's the next scoring special guy, like a McDavid. Like they're saying that he's only like 18, 19 years old. And when you get that, like the Crosby when he was young, right? McDavid, like these are those guys that you're hoping you can get in the top 5 or the number 1 pick in sports. The Arizona, and I mentioned this earlier, basically you can say struck out on Kyler Murray because he's number 1 overall, and that didn't go well. And you had DeAndre Ayton. I mean, decent career, but not like legendary elite stuff like you're hoping for.
Yeah.
The Coyotes may have finally landed the guy. They may have finally.
Yeah.
And all the experts are saying this is the dude, Logan Cooley. Watch the name, Logan Cooley.
You know, talking about the Cardinals, I saw the Rams schedule for next year. I'm licking my chops. The Redskins, Steelers, and Eagles all come to play the Rams out here.
The Steelers are going to play the Rams.
Yeah.
No,
if you look at future schedules in the NFL, it'll tell you. I don't know who the Cardinals will probably get them, but I looked at it. The Eagles come out here, the Redskins and the Steelers all come to play the Rams.
Well, I want to go to see that. I want to see Kenny Pickett. I fell in love with him the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, the Steelers will be out here.
I think Kenny Pickett is. He's got this.
I've been telling everybody on XM that the Jacksonville Jaguars will get to a Super Bowl with Trevor Lawrence before we see Patrick Mahomes there.
You never know.
I got a couple buddies covering that game out there on Saturday night, and Jacksonville, man, they're coming on, man.
Now I want to go see Kenny Pickett next year. I didn't know the Rams are going out there. And that ticket's going to be cheap because they're going to suck next year.
Yeah. I haven't seen the Cardinal schedule, but it should break here after next week.
They got Giants. They got the AFC NFC East stuff going down.
Well, then you'll probably play the Steelers too. The
Steelers
they
play the Steelers. They play that division.
But the question is it in
Pittsburgh?
Oh, it's in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Ravens and Bengals come here. They go to the Browns in Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay.
I know. I was like, that'd be kind of cool. I became a Kenny Pickett fan.
The Steelers come to LA then. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty amazed how the Steelers put together their rebound. It was pretty quick. I mean, you got Najee Harris, best running back in the draft. You got the best quarterback in the draft, and they're all playing at a high level. You got George Pickens, probably was the best receiver, but he was pushed back because of an injury.
Alabama kid,
right? I'm thinking. Oh, you got Freiermuth.
Well, the biggest steal was that thing we got from the Dolphins and Micah Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, but drafting wise, they put together. They got Freiermuth, Pickens, Najee, and your quarterback. That's your core. I mean, within 2 years, and you're telling me people can't figure out how to put a roster together.
And they're still trying to figure it out where you are in the desert.
They had a chance to get Najee Harris. They had a chance to get Kenny Pickett, but they traded with their pick. They had all these guys. Everybody did.
Yeah,
George Pickens was there.
It's going to get interesting here during the offseason. Somebody's going there. It's Kingsbury or Kyler Murray. Somebody's going to go. I think it's going to be the coach because they can't really get rid of the quarterback.
I hear
wow,
you.
What a show.
Yeah, man. I know it's getting late, man. We hung in there. I'm glad you popped in. I've been on since almost 2 hours, right?
Wow. Next week, I'll
almost
get in earlier.
Definitely. But it's going to get a lot busier when the Super Bowl starts kicking in. I'm going to be doing more stuff with the Super Bowl starting in about a week and a half or so. So
yeah, I'm ready for it. We'll keep it going even after the Super Bowl, baby.
Hey, if you can get out here, it'd be great because I'm invited to a bunch of stuff. Hey, in May 11th, I'm invited to do a major sports celebrity golf tournament in May.
Wow.
I've done a few of them, and I just go live on my show with it. And May 11th at the Wigwam in West Phoenix area.
I want to get out there for spring training.
Yeah. I haven't done a lot of spring training.
The World Baseball Classics out there.
That's what I want to see. Now, I did that a couple of years. I said to myself, that's right.
I haven't been to one of those. I want to see that.
It's cool. It's not as ruckus and crazy like with international like soccer and the fans. I think they're hoping to get to that point. But it's not.
Yeah, we should set that up. I should come out there for like 4 days or something.
You should. You can stay with me. I have no problem with that. I have no problem with that. And I'll just get out to the game.
Throw a media thing, cover the Padres or somebody out there. Throw some credentials to the Angels.
Yeah, I'm closer to the A's, Cubs, or and Angels. Those are my closest team. Okay. Oh, and the Giants, San Fran Giants. Those are my
the Angels.
Right, those are my closest. On the west side of Phoenix is like the Dodgers, the White Sox.
Yeah.
Texas and Kansas City and Seattle, and I'm just trying to think off the top of my head. But
let's set that up. Let's try to get that set up.
Definitely. All right, man. Let me get this music up. We need music to get out of here. We just can't go out cold and dry like this, right?
Yeah.
But hey, man, I appreciate it. Mark Mancini, the madman himself.
Show that's sweeping the duel in the desert, baby.
That's right. Well, we're a duel, that's for sure.
Yeah.
No doubt.
I love you, man. Next week, same time, same channel.
You got it. Mark Mancini, have a good night. All righty. Wow, man, I talked about a whole lot, and I wonder if it all made sense. But I just kind of give you a lot of information. I just try to throw it at you. I throw my opinions in there, and I just hope it all sticks somehow, and you can make your own judgment on stuff. And that's the beautiful part of it. I said hi to a lot of people out there right now. I want to make sure I can say hi one more time to anybody else that is popping on the screen right now. I got Vince, I got Norma, I got Deidre in the house. Hey, Deidre. Nice seeing you. Bryce Myers. Hey, Bryce. The best cop in Arizona. All right. I got more. I see your comments. I'm going to respond to them in a second, folks. We're out of here. Hanna Time, Cornelius, Brad, Hanna, and Global Sports Broadcasting Network. My sponsors are at the bottom of the screen. Folks, I appreciate it. I really do. We'll see you next Monday. No show tomorrow. Gonna watch a lot of football. But for then, for you, to me, keep loving your heart and share that when you feel it, baby, because love always, always wins. Good night, everybody. Have a good one.